Hello, I'm Anne.
And I'm Chris.
And we'd like to welcome you to our series, The Young Hunter's Guide.
With the support of the GECO, today's episode will focus on shooting technique.
We're at a 100-meter indoor shooting range and we'll cover all the key points, first in theory and then in practice.
Since safety is one of the most important aspects on a range, we made sure upon arrival that the weapon was opened immediately. The bolt remains open. We've checked that the magazine isn't loaded and also that there's no carrying strap mounted on the weapon.
For this rather complex topic, and because we're still inexperienced, we've brought in an experienced hunter and shooting instructor. Hello, Det. How are you doing today?
Hello, Anne. Hello, Chris.
What topics are we covering today?
Today, we are thoroughly covering the topics that are necessary for achieving a repeatable and consistent shot. This includes understanding the correct position behind the weapon, which means focusing on both your shooting stance and the way you mount the firearm. It is also about controlling your breathing and getting your pulse and adrenaline back down to a calm, steady state so that you can take a clean, accurate shot. Trigger operation, meaning what sequence I need to follow to move the trigger smoothly without jerking. And it's looking through the shot after it's fired, the follow-through, which also includes cycling the bolt. Of course, in every theoretical and practical exercise, we'll always touch on safety when handling weapons.
Good, then I'd say let's start right away with the first point. The correct shooting mount, as you mentioned. I'll get set up and you just give me some help and a few tips.
That's what we'll do. So Chris, will start with the seated shooting mount, which represents the prone or standing positions, just as the symmetrical shooting mount is usable for the rifle, the shotgun, as well as for the pistol or handgun. Please position yourself at a 90-degree angle behind the weapon so that both shoulders are as symmetrical as possible behind the rifle, not at an angle, but straight. As a right-handed shooter, rest your right elbow firmly. That gives you stability. Bring your left hand up to the rifle stock to help stabilize the weapon. And go ahead and place your eye behind the optics.
This symmetrical mounting means that I can better absorb the recoil from the rifle.
Exactly. The more of an angle you have with both shoulders against the weapon, like if you move your left shoulder forward as a right-handed shooter, the more the weapon will jump to the right, away from the target. The more symmetrical you are behind the weapon, the more the recoil is absorbed straight back, and the weapon stays on target when you fire, which makes it much easier to follow through and reacquire your aim. For a repeatable and precise shooting position, it is important that the right elbow of a right-handed shooter finds a solid, clean support. In a high seat or a low seat, this is always a bit more difficult than it is here at the shooting range on the shooting rest, but it is essential. The left hand should support and hold the stock so that when you cycle the bolt with your right hand, the weapon stays on target. And you really shouldn't apply too much muscle tension to the weapon at all, because any twisting of the weapon or any variation in muscle tension will result in a different shot pattern every single time. So exert as little pressure as possible on the weapon.
You just mentioned a point about little to, well, ideally no muscle tension. Can I achieve that through proper breathing as well?
Yes, of course. So regarding breathing, it's better to use calm abdominal breathing rather than using chest breathing. In terms of movement, when exhaling, you should briefly hold your breath to be able to take your shot. And if you have a very high pulse because you're excited, because the adrenaline is working in you, then you can bring the pulse down again by exhaling slowly several times. But if you can't manage it, and your pulse is so high that you can't take a clean shot, then the finger must stay off the trigger. And the next topic would be trigger operation.
Yes, in our last episode, we both said that we have a direct trigger.
Exactly, we have a direct trigger. There would also be a two-stage trigger or a set trigger, French or German, but that's not our topic today at all. It would be important that you place your shooting hand loosely on the rifle grip so that you can also pull sensitively with your trigger.
Yes, we also learned that in shooting training at hunting school that you should pull without a jerk.
Exactly. Pulling the trigger without a jerk makes for a clean shooting result. But what else would come before pulling the trigger?
Well, definitely that you've identified and addressed the target, then that the area in front and behind is clear. And of course, very importantly, that there's a natural backstop.
Yes, very good. And that's how you get good results.
So what happens now after the shot is fired?
Well, you pull the trigger slowly and smoothly and let the shot surprise you, staying on the trigger for a second longer. And during this time, you follow through. That means you look through the sights and can see the animal's reaction to the hit.
And that's what looking through the fire is?
Exactly, that's seeing through the fire. Yes, Chris, this is our cold bore shot exercise. You can see the top shot is on a separate target, then come the 4 bottom ones. This is how I determine if my weapon has cold bore behavior. That means the first shot deviates significantly from the other shots. Should that ever be the case, which it isn't here, I pull a wick through the weapon before every shoot or hunt to minimize this risk. The results are very good. So you can see the GECO ammunition works.
In this case, I used the plus. It harmonizes very, very well with the weapon now. As you can see here, it's also inexpensive, which means I can use the same ammunition for hunting and for training here.
Yes, that's a big advantage.
Yes.
Chris, the next series of shots we did, as you can see here, was on a game target. You have the possibility to automate the training, meaning identifying the game, background hazards, and checking for a backstop, automate that before I take the shot. And there are various ways to also focus on the technique with each series, like breathing, trigger control. You can vary and train that differently with every series. For practice out there. Yes, and Chris, this is the opportunity to practice hunting style shooting training at an indoor range by using a shooting stick, by using game targets, by using the backpack. All the situations I encounter while hunting, which the shooting range makes possible. We wouldn't have a low stand here where we could practice our proper seated position. Some ranges have that, otherwise I just have to make do. A second option would be dry fire training, of course, without a live round. Again, checking the weapon to ensure it's safe, no ammo, that the barrel is clear and empty. But I could dry train any situation there too. I can do that at home, the sequence of the shot at the kitchen table, theoretically, once I've ensured it's safe. But I can also do it at any high or low stand in the hunting ground, finding my shooting position, dry firing, the cycling process. Dry fire training would be a big part for young hunters to automate the procedures.
I also especially liked when I know that I'm often very nervous before a shot, that the breathing helped me to calm myself down and then not start shaking while I'm on the target.
Nice, nice.
A big thank you for explaining this to us in such detail. We definitely took some know-how from the session. I mean, the results were already very good. For my part, I still need to pay a bit more attention to the follow-through so I can look through the shot a bit better. But overall, this has definitely helped me a lot today.
Yes, thank you very much for tuning in again. If you have any more questions, you can of course write them in the comments. And Dad, if any more questions come up afterwards, we can contact you again at any time.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.